Good morning, folks. Madame la Prof coming to you live from Zoom. Always need coffee. Always need that little sip of coffee just to give you that extra kick. Yes, I am on Zoom this morning because yesterday I mentioned in my video that I need to create, that I want to create, not a need. It's never a need. I mean, some people can argue that yes, creating is a need, but you know, sometimes you need to take a creating break. You need to recharge your batteries. And yesterday in my video, I mentioned that I would like to give the good old Madame la Prof try and create content next week, almost every day. I'm saying almost because I'm looking at my long-term calendar for next week and it's going to be a gong show, not going to lie. I mentioned also that I'm doing a relatively new unit with my students, specifically my grade 9 secondary 3 students. And I realized that's a perfect topic for a video. I mean, those who follow me, who are in my classrooms right now, like they'll probably say, we don't want to watch this as a video, but I know some educators would like to see what I'm creating and maybe it'll give them ideas. Like I don't have any major copyrights on the content that I create because it's kind of like a lasagna. You know, everybody's got their own recipe. Nobody's got the copyright on lasagna itself. Some people put, you know, extra sauce. Some people do it meatless. Some people do it noodleless. I'm still wrapping my brain around that concept. So without further ado, I'm going to explain to you the unit that I'm doing currently right now. Actually, I'm on the verge of ending with my grade 9 students in French Immersion, I may add. So basically what prompted this assignment was a bit of a joke. And not a joke from me because my jokes aren't that clever, but it was a joke that a student made because we were talking about current events and the topic kind of skewed into music, and some kid made a joke and asked his classmates, whoever wants to listen to only English music, please put your hand up. And obviously everybody put their hand up. And I took it an extra step further. I basically said to myself, okay, so you just want to listen to English music? Fine by me. But you're going to have to explain your choices in French. So I came up with this scenario. Les réseaux de nouvelles ont publié une liste musicale, playlist, des chansons les plus populaires chez les jeunes d'aujourd'hui. Tu l'as écouté et tu es en désaccord. Ton groupe et toi décidez de créer une liste qui correspond véritablement non seulement à tes goûts, mais à ceux de tes pairs. Tu dois ensuite convaincre les réseaux de nouvelles que la liste que vous avez créée est celle qui devrait être publiée. So, in a nutshell, for those who don't understand French that well, basically, students heard a random make-believe playlist that was published, like these are the top 10 songs that all young people listen to, and they thought it was crap. So the idea is to create a more authentic playlist, and then they have to explain. So basically, how they have to go about this is that they have to create the playlist. So basically, in subgroups, they have to discuss and come up with songs. Then they have to justify or explain why they came up with that list. And then they have to research the background of each song and each genre that they've selected. And basically I help them with that because they can't just, you know, research on their own. It's sometimes it's very daunting for a kid in grade 9 to do this type of research. And then they have to write a final letter, or basically they have to present their final end result. So my idea behind this is not to force students to listen to songs or to music that they wouldn't normally listen to. I mean, I don't want to foist my personal tastes onto students. And besides, I don't listen a lot to French music. What I want them to do is that I want them to embrace their own tastes and their own likes, but they have to be able to explain those likes and those tastes en français. And that's what I am looking for. And that has always been my raison d'être as a French teacher. I don't want them to read things that have or listen to things that have no connection with their reality. In fact, if they want to bring to me content that is authentic to them and meaningful to them, I am going to capitalize on it, and I will encourage it, and I will even empower that and help them develop those skills and those aptitudes to express themselves in French in order to embrace that what they identify to. Wow, I think that syntax was off. So then the students had to come up with their playlist. They had to come up with their playlist, and I knew that it was going to be a bit of a challenge because the tastes are so varied. Like I know I have some kids in certain classrooms that enjoy opera music, like they love opera, and they've even mentioned some opera singers. And I've got another girl in one of my classes that is a huge classic rock, like the Beatles, the Who, like anything that is old, that is classic rock, like that's what she likes. So I knew that it was going to be a bit varied. So in groups of 3 or 4, they had to select 3 songs that they felt were representative of their era, their generation. And then they had to select the 10 best. And I created a Google form that allowed them to select, and we ended up with this. In this particular group, there was a huge chunk of the student population that really liked Christmas music. I say huge chunk, but I think there were maybe like 4 or 5. You know, we have the kid who liked opera, but we also had some rap music, and we have you know, what I call meme songs, like Everyday Bro, Mine Diamonds, and there was even you know, a kids show theme song, the Backyardigans, and this was the other group, and they went through 2 iterations of this list. The first version, they were very disappointed with the end result. They didn't feel it was representative, and they scrapped the first list that they created and they started again, and it was their decision. They went all out. Like there are songs from the 90s. There are kids songs. They went all out. So in the end, we have 2 similar yet different lists. Like we've got one list that, yes, has that song, okay, and I didn't nix it. I didn't nix it because I said to myself that there's an interesting conversation and discussion that can be had in class about that. And then the other group had this list. So once that selection was done, they had to write an essay to explain not the whys and the reasons why these songs represent them. They had to write an essay where they had to explain why they agreed or disagreed with the list, the reasons that influenced their choices, and what obstacles they encountered when they discussed as a team to come up with the songs. I discovered about 10 years ago that when you don't give an outline, but not just an outline, your intro has to go here, your body paragraphs have to go here, and your conclusion has to go here. I'm talking about a skeleton that can be used with content. Okay? Students don't know how to write it. So I started, working on the concept that if I give my students an introduction like this, and if I give my students a conclusion, I tell them, you only have to write 3 paragraphs, the task is way more manageable. And now that it's done, that initial essay is done, that's when the real work begins. I basically had to take each class, each playlist, and look at the types of music that came out. I had to see if there were any similarities. I had to see if where the differences were, and I had to come up with content for them to research. Also, I don't want to say that I had to evaluate their research, but I didn't want to just make this a read and write type of activity. So I wanted to evaluate their competency in reading, lire des textes variés en français. So I came up with the following 2 assignments. So I like using authentic documents. I don't want to say that I don't like textbooks and workbooks. It's just that sometimes some of the content's dated. Something that was written in 1998, it's not always relevant. I mean, useful, but not always relevant. So I often go on to newspaper websites like La Presse, Le Devoir, Journal de Montréal, selectively. And I found this article on Le hip-hop a eu plus d'impact sur la musique que les Beatles, because in both classes, students came up with at least one rap song. And attached to this text, I also found another document which was amazing, but it was just too brutally long to give on its own. So I literally selected 2 paragraphs. I always put a link, because if the students want to read the essay in its entirety, God bless them, they could access them. And I have some reading comprehension questions, because, as a teacher, you still have to evaluate those competencies, and basically gave them this assignment. And I already had another document about memes, written by Jean-Michel Bertillon, a fantastic doctor of semiology. I am sorry, Jean-Michel, if you're listening to this and I mispronounced your diploma. I explained to my students, he's a doctor in pop culture. It was the easiest way to explain it. But I already had an article on memes, and I said to myself, I'm going to explain to my students how memes and meme songs are pretty much the same thing. It's just presented a bit differently. One has music and the other one has none. So I gave them these 2 articles, and then as part of their research, we had to complete, and this was guided. I gave them time to work on this as sub-teams, and they had to come up with this on their own, and then they had to share their responses. Pourquoi est-ce qu'on crée la musique? Pourquoi est-ce qu'on écoute la musique? Qu'est-ce qu'on ressent en écoutant la musique? And we did one for rap music, and we did one for meme songs. And then the next one, which is basically the one that they had to do solo, which was qu'est-ce que j'ai appris au sujet de la musique populaire? Qu'est-ce que j'ai appris au sujet de l'influence de la musique sur les enfants? Qu'est-ce que j'ai appris au sujet de la musique et des émotions? Because the other types of music on their playlist was not really, how could I put this? Like, I wasn't going to look up, why do we create TV show theme songs for kids? Like, it seemed a bit too abstract, but I figured there was popular songs on their lists. They had some TV show theme songs. And because some kids put Christmas songs on their playlist, I figured there was a link or there was some kind of importance to talk about music and emotions, but that particular question can cover all the songs on their playlist. And in order for them to do this activity, I gave them this initial slide, which basically has links to articles that they would read, and then fill in the outline, the reflection, the brainstorming outline. There are no direct answers. Like, you don't need to really read this article and say, oh yeah, I found an answer for this question. I explained to the students that you could read an article and then see that there are answers that could apply to all three boxes. So right now I am sharing part of a document. I didn't want to reveal the student's name, so you're only seeing part of the screen. Basically, this is, I haven't read them yet. I'm reading this live with you. So this team responded: qu'est-ce que j'ai appris au sujet de la musique populaire? En 2006, les collaborateurs ont noté que la musique joyeuse aide les autres à créer une imagination créative, ou comme la musique triste aide l'esprit à se concentrer. Like, I'm not going to look at mistakes here. I'm not going to look at, because this is not a writing assignment. This is kind of sort of like a reading assignment, and almost like a digital book report, but no books involved, but various source documents. Écouter de la musique nous fait plaisir. La chanson peut être une chanson hip-hop que tout le monde aime. That's interesting. La musique aussi stabilise l'humeur, aide à comprendre les liens sociaux. La musique peut rassembler des personnes des cultures différentes. Il y a des résultats qui montrent que la musique est plus efficace pour calmer les bébés que les paroles des parents. I see that response and I'm thinking maybe that should go in here. Qu'est-ce que j'ai appris au sujet de l'influence de la musique sur les enfants? It's really interesting how they interpret the questions. And obviously when I evaluate this, like how am I going to deduct points? Because this is what the students have learned. It's very hard for me to say, oh yeah, I'm deducting 5 points there. I think it's mostly going to be like maybe a minimal, yeah, you know what, maybe this could have been better on that one, and just like deduct 1 point. I like working in fives. So in this case, 3 questions, 5 points each, 15 points, because unfortunately we're still working with numbers and points. You know, I would like to not have to do that, but unfortunately, yeah, those are my thoughts. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Point in time, I haven't created yet the outline for the final product, but I know exactly how it's going to be, so I'm sharing this with you. In the same vein and style as those slideshows you see at the end of a calendar year, where you see like the top 10 best moments, and you have an image and you have a bit of a chunk of a paragraph. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to ask those students who have grouped up for that final reflection, I'm going to say, this team, you're going to write about popular music. You are going to write about meme songs. You are going to write about Christmas music. And they're each going to have 1 paragraph to write. Once again, I am minimizing the work that they're doing. And I know some of you are probably saying, like, why are you minimizing the amount that they have to write? Don't they have to write like a 300-word essay? Yeah, but the paragraph they're going to write, they don't realize it yet. It's going to be about 300 words long, because they're going to have to find reasons to explain why meme songs is relevant to their generation. It's going to be between 200 and 300 words long. They won't realize it, but because it's meaningful to them, ça va sortir facilement, avec une fluidité surprenante. Because it's going to be relevant to them, they are going to write, and they will realize that they're writing 300 words. And hopefully this is going to turn out to be something really amusing. I don't want to say amusing. I want to say something that they weren't expecting to do in French class. Like, I'm sure some kids, when they started the school year, you know, as interesting as it is, I don't think they were expecting to do this. I don't think they were expecting to really go off the beaten path, literally based on a silly comment a kid made in class. I don't think they were expecting to talk about memes in French class. I don't think they were expecting to talk about rap music in French class. And I have no issues sharing with them content en anglais pourvu qu'ils partagent et s'expriment en français. I'm not saying that I'm not sharing French content with them. I am, a lot. But I think in order to get full participation from students, you have to give a little. You have to give a little. So there you go. If you want to use this, if you want to contact me to get like a better idea, if you want for me to share my documents with you, I have no problems with that. You can modify it any which way you want. Like I said, I don't own the lasagna. I just put my own spices and seasoning to it. Have an awesome day, Internet.